The shuttle drifted in silence near the broken diplomatic ship, its hull scorched and torn open like a wounded animal. Debris floated everywhere, glowing softly against the dark of space. Human rescue teams moved carefully, their suit lights cutting thin lines through the wreckage. Among them was Daniel Reyes, a human infantry soldier assigned as security for the mission. He was not important, not an officer, not a diplomat, just a man trained to stand between danger and others. His orders were simple: search for survivors and escort them back. The mission had already gone wrong hours ago. The Aurelians were an ancient alien race, tall and elegant, their empire stretching across dozens of systems. This meeting was supposed to be historic. First deep alliance talks with humanity. Instead, pirates had struck without warning, disabling the convoy and vanishing as quickly as they came. Daniel moved through a shattered corridor, stepping over twisted metal and flickering consoles. His suit scanner beeped softly. "Life signs detected," the AI said. He followed the signal and found them. 3 Aurelian guards lay dead, their crystalline armor cracked open. Beyond them, against the wall, was a figure slumped on the floor. She was smaller than the guards, her pale silver skin dulled, her long hair drifting weightlessly around her head. Daniel froze. Even without insignia, he knew who she was: the Aurelian princess. Her chest rose slowly, painfully. Dark blue blood leaked from a wound in her side, floating in delicate spheres before sticking to the floor. Her eyes were half open, unfocused. "Command," Daniel said quietly. "I found the princess. She's alive, but barely." The reply came fast and tense. "Copy that. Aurelian medical team is on the way. Stabilize if possible, but do not interfere with alien physiology." Daniel knelt beside her, careful not to touch. His training screamed at him to help, but he knew the rules. Aurelian biology was complex, sensitive. One wrong move could kill her. Still, he stayed. The princess's breathing grew weaker. Her fingers twitched as if searching for something. Daniel noticed strange symbols glowing faintly along her veins, pulsing slower and slower. Minutes passed. The alien medical team arrived. 6 tall figures moving with urgent precision. They surrounded the princess, deploying tools Daniel had never seen. Lights flashed. Devices hummed. Then one of the medics straightened. "She is fading," the medic said in a cold, controlled tone. "The core flow is collapsing." Another shook his head. "Her bloodline resonance is failing. Without a compatible donor, she cannot survive." Daniel frowned. "Donner!" The lead medic turned toward him, irritation clear. "Aurelian royals require blood reinforcement in critical injury. Only those of the same lineage can provide it." Daniel's stomach sank. "And there are none left?" Silence answered him. "The royal family was wiped out during the civil purge years ago," the medic finally said. "She was hidden. The last one." Daniel looked back at the princess. She seemed so still now, fragile. The idea that an entire empire rested on this one life made his chest feel heavy. "So that's it?" he asked. "You just let her die?" "We do not let her die," the medic snapped. "We observe the natural end." Daniel clenched his jaw but said nothing. He backed away as ordered and watched as the team continued their efforts, though their movements were slower now, more resigned. Hours later, the princess was transferred to the Aurelian medical ship. Daniel was ordered to stand guard outside the chamber. He obeyed, though sleep tugged at him and his mind would not rest. Through the transparent barrier, he could see her lying on a glowing platform. Tubes ran from her body to machines that pulsed in soft light. The symbols under her skin were barely visible now. Aurelian scientists argued quietly nearby. "The stabilization is failing. We are delaying the inevitable. Prepare the death protocols. Daniel's heart pounded. He didn't know why he cared so much. He had never met her before today. She wasn't human. She wasn't his responsibility. But something about the way she had looked at him when she was found, confused, scared, but trusting, would not leave him. He stepped closer to the barrier. "Is there really nothing else?" he asked. One of the scientists glanced at him. "Human, your presence is unnecessary. Answer me." The scientist hesitated. "There are theoretical options, but they are forbidden." Daniel's eyes sharpened. "Like what?" "A foreign blood source," the scientist admitted. "But it would be lethal. Your blood is incompatible, chaotic. It would destroy her cells." Daniel swallowed. Or it might not. The scientist stared at him. "You do not understand Aurelian biology." "No," Daniel said calmly. "But I understand desperation." The lead medic stepped forward. "Human, your blood would poison her system. Even if she survived minutes, the pain—" "I'll do it," Daniel said. Every alien in the room turned to him. "You will what?" the medic demanded. "I'll donate my blood. Use it however you think might help, if there's even a chance." "This is madness," one scientist hissed. "Your species is unstable at the cellular level. Your immune system attacks everything." Daniel nodded. "Yeah, that's kind of our thing." The medic's voice hardened. "If she dies faster because of this, her bloodline ends because of you." Daniel met his gaze. "If you do nothing, she dies anyway." The room went quiet. Finally, the medic exhaled slowly. "The Empire forbids. The Empire won't exist if she dies," Daniel interrupted. "You said it yourself. She's the last." The aliens exchanged glances, tension thick in the air. Minutes later, Daniel lay on a medical platform beside the princess. A device connected their circulatory systems through a sealed conduit. Warnings flashed across the screens. "Begin minimal transfer," the medic said reluctantly. Daniel felt a sharp pressure in his arm as the machine activated. His blood flowed out, glowing red against the alien light. Almost immediately, alarms sounded. "Her vitals are spiking! Cellular conflict detected!" Daniel's vision blurred, but he forced himself to stay conscious. "Is it working?" The medic stared at the data, disbelief spreading across his face. "The rejection is stabilizing." On the princess's skin, the faint symbols flared brightly. New patterns formed, more complex than before. Her breathing deepened. Then she gasped. Her eyes flew open, glowing with sudden light. She turned her head slowly until her gaze locked onto Daniel. For a long moment, they simply looked at each other. Then, weakly, she lifted her hand and touched the barrier between them, as if reaching for him. The alarm softened into steady rhythms. "She's alive," a scientist whispered. The medic said nothing. He was staring at the screens, fear and awe mixing in his eyes. What have we done?" Daniel smiled faintly before darkness pulled him under. And somewhere deep within the Aurelian princess, something ancient had begun to wake. Daniel woke slowly, pulled back into awareness by a deep, steady hum. At first, he thought he was still dreaming. His body felt heavy, like it was pressed into warm sand. His thoughts came one by one, slow and distant. He tried to move his fingers. They responded. Relief washed through him. He opened his eyes. The ceiling above him was not human. Soft light flowed across curved crystal panels, shifting colors like a calm ocean. The air smelled clean, faintly sweet. He lay on a medical platform, surrounded by alien instruments that glowed quietly. He was alive. Memory rushed back all at once. The wreckage, the dying princess, the blood transfer, the alarms. Daniel pushed himself up slightly, ignoring the ache in his arm and chest. Easy. The voice was calm, deep, and unfamiliar. Daniel turned his head. An Aurelian medic stood nearby, taller than him, robes marked with symbols of rank. The alien's expression was unreadable, but his posture was tense. "How long?" Daniel asked, his voice dry. "You were unconscious for 14 human hours," the medic replied. "Your blood loss was severe. By all logic, you should not have survived." Daniel gave a weak smile. "Guess I missed the memo." The medic did not smile back. "You should rest." "Where is she?" Daniel asked immediately. The medic hesitated. Daniel's heart began to race. She lives?" the medic said. "Against all expectation." Daniel closed his eyes and let out a slow breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "She stabilized fully 6 hours ago," the medic continued. "Her condition is no longer critical." Daniel opened his eyes again. "Can I see her?" The medic studied him for a long moment. "That decision is not mine alone." Before Daniel could respond, the doors at the far end of the chamber slid open. More Aurelians entered. Scientists. Guards. Officials wearing elaborate markings that signaled authority. Their presence filled the room with pressure. Daniel slowly sat up straighter. One figure stepped forward, older than the others, his skin marked with faint glowing lines that pulsed with quiet power. "I am High Curator Salenth," the alien said. "Voice of the Star Court." Daniel nodded once. "Daniel Reyes, Human Infantry." "We know who you are," Salenth replied. "You have become difficult to ignore." That didn't sound good. Salen turned slightly, gesturing toward a transparent wall. Beyond it lay another chamber. The princess rested there. She was no longer pale. Color had returned to her skin, deeper and brighter than before. The symbols beneath her flesh glowed strongly now, flowing in patterns Daniel had never seen. Her chest rose with steady strength. "She should not be alive," Salenth said quietly. "Our greatest minds failed her. Our laws abandoned her." Daniel looked at the princess. "But she is." "Yes," Salenth said. "Because of you." Murmurs spread among the assembled Aurelians. Some looked at Daniel with awe, others with fear, a few with clear anger. "Our scans reveal something unprecedented," Salenth continued. "Your blood did not merely stabilize her, it merged with her systems." Daniel frowned. "Merged how?" "Your blood acted as a catalyst," one scientist said sharply. "It awakened dormant structures in her genome. Ancient traits lost for thousands of cycles." Salenth nodded. "She is changed." Daniel swallowed. "Is that bad?" Silence answered him. "Change is never simple," Salenth said at last. "The Aurelian people fear what they do not understand." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "I didn't mean to change her. I just wanted her to live. And that," Salenth said, "is what troubles us most." A guard stepped forward. "High Curator." The human acted without authorization. "His species is unpredictable. We cannot allow—" She chose him. The voice was soft but clear. Every head turned. The princess stood at the doorway of her chamber. She moved slowly, but without weakness. Light seemed to bend subtly around her, responding to her presence. Her eyes, once gentle and dim, now shone with sharp awareness. She looked directly at Daniel. "You are dying," Daniel said quietly, standing despite the pain. "You shouldn't be walking." She tilted her head slightly. "I should be dead." The room fell completely silent. "I felt the darkness closing," she continued. "I felt my blood failing. And then Something new entered me. Her gaze never left Daniel. Warm, fierce, stubborn. That sounds about right. A few scientists looked scandalized. Salenth raised a hand for silence. You bonded with the human? Salenth asked carefully. The princess nodded once. Not by choice, not by ritual. She paused, but by survival. The words echoed through the chamber. Salenth studied her. Do you feel pain? Corruption? Instability? No, she replied. I feel awake. She lifted her hand. The symbols along her arm flared brightly, then settled. Energy rippled outward, causing nearby instruments to flicker. Several Aurelians stepped back in alarm. She is stronger than before, a scientist whispered. And different, another muttered. The princess lowered her hand and finally looked around the room. You debate laws while I breathe, she said calmly. You feared extinction, yet now you fear change. She turned back to Salenth. If I had died, the empire would already be collapsing. Salenth did not argue. I live, she continued, because a human gave part of himself without demand. Her eyes hardened slightly. And now you speak of punishment? The guard stiffened. Princess, this human may represent a threat to... She took a single step forward. The air seemed to grow heavier. He represents a future, she said. Daniel felt it then. A pressure in his chest, not painful, but powerful. The room itself seemed to listen to her. Salenth exhaled slowly. The Star Court will demand answers. Your survival will not end this matter. I know, the princess said. That is why he must remain protected. She pointed at Daniel. Several Aurelians reacted instantly. Protected? Yes, she said. If harm comes to him, it will be seen as an act against me. Daniel blinked. Your Highness, I appreciate it, but... She looked at him again, and her expression softened, just slightly. You are linked to me now, she said. Our blood remembers. That sent a chill through him. Salenth studied Daniel with new intensity. This connection, can you feel it? Daniel hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, like a hum. When she's close. The scientists erupted into whispers. A feedback loop. Impossible. Human neural adaptation. Salenth raised his hand again. Enough. He looked at the princess. The Empire will demand control. Study. Assurance. And you? She asked. Salenth paused. I see a crossroads. He turned to Daniel. Human, your people will hear of this. Some will fear you. Others will desire what you represent. Daniel shrugged tiredly. Story of our species. Salenth almost smiled. For now, the curator said, you will remain aboard this vessel under guard. Not as a prisoner. Protective custody, Daniel guessed. Yes. The princess stepped closer to Daniel until they stood only a short distance apart. You are not alone, she said softly, so only he could hear. Whatever follows, I will face it with you. Daniel met her glowing eyes and nodded. Fair enough. Outside the chamber, alarms began to sound, not urgent, but widespread. A message echoed through the ship. All command levels be advised. Transmission from the Star Court, incoming. Salenth straightened. The galaxy is about to learn what happened here. The princess turned toward the stars beyond the hall. So are we, she said. And deep within her altered blood, the ancient power stirred again. Curious, aware, and watching humanity for the first time. The Star Court transmission filled the command chamber with shimmering light. Tall pillars of crystal rose from the floor, forming the holographic figures of Aurelian nobles and elders. Their faces were calm, but the energy beneath their skin flickered with tension. Daniel stood beside the princess, guarded on all sides. He could feel it again, that low hum inside his chest. It grew stronger the closer she stood to him, like a shared rhythm neither of them fully understood. High Curator Selland bowed his head. "Honored court, we present Princess Althira, living heir of the royal bloodline." A ripple passed through the holograms. "She lives?" one elder demanded. "That is impossible. Yet here she stands," Salent replied, "saved by human intervention." Every gaze turned to Daniel. He resisted the urge to shift uncomfortably. Millions of alien eyes were now focused on one very tired human soldier. This human violated sacred medical law, another voice said sharply. Foreign blood should have destroyed her. Althira stepped forward. "It did not," she said, "because your laws were written for a weaker past." The chamber grew cold. "You speak recklessly," an elder warned. "Your survival does not grant you wisdom beyond the court." Osiris's eyes flared. The symbols along her neck glowed brighter. "My survival grants me truth," she said. I felt extinction closing in. I felt her blood failing. And then I felt something new. She looked at Daniel, then back to the court. Human blood is not weak. It adapts. It fights. It refuses to surrender. Murmurs spread again. One elder leaned forward. "And because of this, what are you now?" Althira paused. "I am still Aurelian," she said slowly. "But I am more than I was." Daniel felt the hum spike. The air shimmered. Several instruments around the room sparked and died. The court recoiled. "She is unstable," someone hissed. "This proves the danger." Salent raised his voice. "Honored court, with respect, the danger existed long before the human arrived. Our empire was dying, our bloodlines thinning, our strength fading." Silence followed. "We hid decay behind tradition," Salent continued. "This human did not cause change. He revealed possibility." One elder turned sharply. "You suggest we embrace contamination?" "No," Salent replied. "I suggest we acknowledge evolution." The transmission fractured into argument. Voices overlapped. Authority clashed with fear. Through it all, Daniel watched Althira. She stood perfectly still, but he could sense something building beneath her calm. Not rage, control, focus. Suddenly, she raised her hand. The chamber went silent. "You fear humanity because you do not understand it," she said. "You fear me because I remind you that stagnation is death." She turned fully toward the court. "I will not be hidden again. I will not be studied like a mistake. And the human who saved me will not be touched." An elder scoffed. "You cannot command the court alone." "I can," Althira said softly, "if you remember what royal blood truly means." The symbols across her body ignited fully. A wave of energy surged outward, not destructive but overwhelming. The holograms flickered violently. Several elders staggered back in their projection chambers. Daniel gasped as the hum in his chest synchronized with the pulse. Then it stopped. Althira lowered her hand. The room was utterly silent. Salent whispered, "The ancient resonance." The eldest member of the court spoke at last, his voice shaken. "That power was lost before our oldest records." Althira met his gaze. It was sleeping, waiting for a catalyst. Again, eyes turned to Daniel. The elder exhaled slowly. "Human, what are you?" Daniel blinked, mostly confused. That earned him a few stunned looks, and, surprisingly, a faint curve of amusement from Althera. The elder studied him carefully. Your species is dangerous. Daniel nodded. Yeah, we get that a lot. But also, the elder continued, necessary. The transmission dimmed slightly. The court will not condemn this act. Not yet. Relief swept through the chamber. However, the elder added, the bond between princess and human cannot be ignored. It will be tested. Daniel stiffened. Tested how? Althera spoke before the elder could answer. By truth. The court dissolved the transmission without further explanation. The chamber lights dimmed. For a long moment, no one spoke. Finally, Selant turned to Althera. You have challenged the court openly. There will be consequences. She nodded. I know. He looked at Daniel. And you, human, have become something the galaxy will not overlook. Daniel sighed. I just wanted to help. History is shaped by those who do not seek it, Selant replied. Later, in a quieter section of the ship, Daniel sat alone on a bench near a viewport. Stars drifted slowly past. His body still ached, but his mind hurt more. Footsteps approached. Althera stopped beside him. You should rest, she said. So should you, Daniel replied. She looked out at the stars. Sleep feels unnecessary now. They stood in silence for a while. Back there, Daniel said eventually. That power, did I cause that? She considered the question. You awakened it. But it was always part of us, just forgotten. Daniel nodded slowly. Humans are good at stirring things up. Yes, she said, and surviving the consequences. She turned toward him. When I was dying, I felt alone. Abandoned by my people, my past, my future. Her voice softened. Then your blood entered mine. And for the first time, I felt defiance. Daniel looked at her. Defiance? Against fate, she said. Against extinction. He swallowed. I didn't mean to bind us. I know, she replied. That is why it matters. A warning tone echoed softly through the corridor. Selant's voice followed. Princess, human, please proceed to the observation deck. They exchanged a glance and walked together. The deck revealed a massive view, dozens of Aurelian ships forming a protective formation. Beyond them, human vessels waited at a cautious distance. 2 fleets, 2 species, watching each other. Selant joined them. Human command is demanding answers. They detected the energy surge. Daniel groaned. Of course they did. They are afraid, Selant said. As are we. Althera lifted her chin. Fear is honest. It can be addressed. Selant looked at Daniel. Your leaders will want to understand what you are now connected to. Daniel shrugged. Good luck explaining it. I barely get it myself. Althera turned to him. Do you regret it? He didn't answer right away. He thought of the wreckage, the dying light in her eyes. The choice he made without thinking. No, he said finally. Not even a little. She studied his face, then nodded once. Then whatever comes, she said, we face it together. Outside the viewport, a new signal flared to life. Unknown, powerful, and approaching fast. Selant's expression darkened. That signal, it is not human. Althera's symbols pulsed in warning. Something had noticed the change. Something ancient. And it was coming. The unknown signal grew stronger with every passing minute. On the main observation deck, officers from both species worked side by side, their earlier tension replaced by focused urgency. Holographic maps shifted constantly, tracking the incoming source. Daniel stood near Althera, watching the stars twist as the ship adjusted position. The hum inside his chest was no longer gentle. It throbbed like a warning. Selant spoke quietly. The The signal originates from beyond mapped space. Old space. A human officer frowned. Old how? Salenth's glowing lines dimmed slightly. Older than our empire. Althira's expression hardened. The Watchers. Several Aurelians stiffened at the word. Daniel looked between them. That sounds bad. They are, Salenth replied. Ancient observers. They monitored early civilizations. When a species changed too quickly, they intervened. Intervened how? Daniel asked. Althira answered. They erased them. The words hung heavy in the air. The signal shifted suddenly, resolving into a massive structure emerging from hyperspace. It was not a ship in the usual sense. It looked grown rather than built. Vast arcs of dark material forming a hollow core that glowed with cold light. Human sensors screamed warnings. Aurelian systems dimmed under pressure. They're scanning us, a human technician said. All of us! Daniel clenched his fists. The hum surged, sharp and painful now. Althira placed a hand lightly on his arm. The pain eased. They sensed the change in me, she said. And through me. You. A communication pulse rippled across the deck. A voice echoed directly into every mind present, bypassing translators and speakers. Anomaly detected. The voice was emotionless, vast, and ancient. Hybrid resonance confirmed. Contamination level unacceptable. Several humans flinched. Aurelian guards tightened their grip on weapons that suddenly felt useless. Althira stepped forward. I am Althira of the Aurelians, she said clearly. Living heir of this region, state your intent. The silence that followed felt endless. Correction, the voice replied. You are no longer standard Aurelian. You are Divergence. Daniel stepped beside her without thinking. And she's not alone, he said. The voice paused. Human proximity confirmed. Probability spike source identified. The Watcher vessel pulsed. Human biology, unregulated adaptability, source of instability. Daniel felt every eye turned toward him. Yeah, he muttered. That tracks. Salenth spoke carefully. Watchers, this region falls under sovereign control. Your protocols are outdated. Protocol is eternal, the voice replied. Species that exceed acceptable variance threaten balance. Althira's symbols flared, brighter than ever before. Balance for whom? She demanded. For those who fear growth? The Watcher vessel shifted, energy gathering. Divergence will be corrected. Human ships powered weapons instinctively, though everyone knew they were useless against something this old. Daniel felt the hum explode into clarity. For the first time, he understood it. It wasn't just a connection. It was a bridge. He looked at Althira. They're not just afraid of you, she met his gaze. They are afraid of what we represent together. Daniel took a step forward, ignoring shouts behind him. Hey, he said, speaking directly into the mental link. You want to talk about instability? The Watcher paused again. Human unit lacks authority. Yeah, well, Daniel replied. Authority never stopped us before. Images flooded his mind. Human history. Wars. Failures. Adaptation. Survival against impossible odds. Humans breaking rules, surviving disasters, changing faster than anyone thought possible. He let it all flow through the connection. The Watcher vessel shuddered. Data overload detected. Althira felt it too. She reached out, not physically, but through the bond. Her ancient power and Daniel's human chaos intertwined. She added her own memories. Aurelian decline, fading bloodlines, fear of change, slow death disguised as tradition. Together they formed something new. Not a weapon. A message. You call this contamination? Althea said calmly. We call it evolution. The Watcher voice fractured slightly. Evolution without control leads to collapse, Daniel answered. Only if you try to freeze it. The vessel's energy buildup faltered. Around them, both fleets watched in stunned silence as two individuals stood against something older than recorded history. Saylant whispered, They are influencing it. The Watcher voice returned, less certain now. Hybrid. Outcome projections. Undefined. Aelthera took another step forward. You erase what you cannot predict. That is not balance. That is fear. For the first time, the Watchers hesitated. Observation status initiated, the voice said slowly. Immediate correction suspended. The massive vessel began to withdraw, folding back into hyperspace. Before it vanished completely, the voice echoed one last time. Divergence acknowledged. Consequences pending. The signal disappeared. For several seconds, no one moved. Then the observation deck erupted into noise. Relief, disbelief, hurried analysis. Daniel exhaled shakily and leaned against the railing. Okay, I'm officially done with ancient god machines for today. Aelthera smiled faintly. You faced them without fear. Oh, I was terrified, Daniel said. I just kept talking anyway. Saylant approached them, awe playing on his face. You did not defeat them. No, Aelthera said. We reminded them that the galaxy is no longer simple. Human command channels opened immediately. Admirals demanded explanations. Scientists demanded access. Politicians demanded control. Althea watched the chaos unfold on the screens. Your people will want answers, she said to Daniel. Yeah, he replied. And probably samples. She looked at him sharply. I will not allow them to turn you into a resource. Daniel shrugged. Wouldn't be the first time humans tried. Her expression softened, then hardened again. Then we must be clear. She turned to Saylant. Prepare a joint address. To both empires. Saylant hesitated. Together? Yes, she said. They must see unity, not fear. Hours later, the broadcast went live across human and Aurelian space. Daniel stood beside Althea, painfully aware that he was still just a soldier. She spoke first. Today, the galaxy learned that survival does not belong to the strongest or the oldest, she said. It belongs to those willing to change. Daniel followed, voice steady despite everything. Humans don't always get it right, but we adapt. And we don't walk away when someone is dying. The response was immediate. Debate, fear, hope. Some Aurelian factions denounced her as corrupted. Others hailed her as reborn. Among humans, reactions were just as divided. But one thing was clear. The old order had cracked. Later, alone again near the viewport, Daniel rubbed his temples. So, we might have just put a target on our backs. Althea stood beside him, stars reflecting in her eyes. Yes, he sighed. Worth it? She looked at him, truly looked at him. The Watchers did not erase us today, she said. Because of you. Daniel smiled tiredly. Guess that's one for the human highlight reel. Her cymbals pulsed gently now, no longer wild. The future will be difficult, she said, but it will be alive. Daniel nodded. Humans are good at messy futures. Together, they watched the stars, knowing the galaxy had shifted, and that what came next would test not just empires, but the meaning of evolution itself. The galaxy had changed. News of Aelthera's survival and the human blood bond spread faster than any fleet could travel. On every major station, In every command center, whispers of the event sparked debate. Humanity was no longer simply a rising power. They were unpredictable, adaptive, and capable of altering the fates of ancient alien bloodlines. Daniel stood on the observation deck, looking out at the stars. The hum in his chest, once subtle, had become steady, a constant reminder of the bond he shared with Aelthera. He had survived the initial blood transfer, faced ancient watchers, and helped the princess awaken something lost in her people for generations. Yet now, a different challenge awaited. The galaxy would not quietly accept change. Aelthera approached, her presence commanding, without force. The glow of the symbols along her skin pulsed gently, no longer chaotic, but steady, like the rhythm of life itself. "The court has accepted a temporary truce," she said. "They acknowledge what happened, but the fear remains." Daniel nodded. "You think they'll try to seize me?" "Some will," she admitted. "Others will seek alliance. The same humans who admire your courage may also covet the power they sense in this bond." He frowned. "Great. So I'm either a hero or a weapon. No in between." Her lips curved slightly. "Perhaps it has always been that way for humans." Daniel let out a dry laugh. "Fair enough." The Star Court convened once more, this time aboard a neutral station. Both human and Aurelian leaders gathered in a massive chamber, its walls a mosaic of light and crystal. Aelthera stood at the center, flanked by Daniel. The room buzzed with tension. Every eye was on them. Every whisper carried weight. Salenth, still present as her advisor, leaned close to Daniel. "The speech will not be easy. The council will demand obedience, not understanding." "I don't do speeches," Daniel muttered. I try to survive." "You will do both," Salenth said firmly, "because what you represent is the future." Aelthera stepped forward as the session began. Her voice rang out, clear and unwavering. "The galaxy stands on the edge of change. Empires crumble not by conquest alone, but by stagnation. Humanity has shown us a path we could not see. One life, shared willingly, has rekindled what we thought lost." Murmurs echoed through the chamber. Some were in awe, others in shock. Daniel took a step forward, heart pounding. He spoke slowly, choosing each word carefully. "I didn't do this to prove humans are better. I did it because someone needed help, because doing nothing was worse than doing something that might fail." He met the gaze of the council. Maybe that's what humans bring. Not strength, not weapons, not control, but willingness. Willingness to act when it matters. And sometimes, that's enough. Silence followed, heavy and tense. Then, from the back of the chamber, a voice spoke, tentative but filled with reason. "If one human can change the course of a royal line, what else might humans do?" Another voice agreed. "If our oldest fears are wrong, then perhaps our oldest strategies are too." The discussion began to shift. Arguments of fear gave way to cautious curiosity. Debates of control softened into proposals of cooperation. The Star Court, ancient and proud, realized something they had not considered for centuries. The future might not belong to those who cling to tradition, but to those willing to evolve. Days passed in preparation. Daniel was placed under joint protection. Aurelian guards ensured his safety aboard the station, while human officers coordinated with him to maintain contact with Earth Command. The bond with Aelthera had not weakened. It had grown. The hum inside him was a reminder, a constant heartbeat connecting him to her. Aelthera approached him one evening, the observation deck bathed in the soft glow of distant stars. "The council will decide soon," she said. "They must, but the galaxy is watching. Our actions now will define everything." Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. "I never asked to define anything. I just want to survive, maybe keep some peace, and you want to do the right thing," she finished for him. He looked at her, surprised by the accuracy. "Yeah, I guess I do." Her cymbals pulsed softly as she moved closer. "Your people speak of courage, Daniel. Today you have shown it in a way none could ignore, not because of skill or strength or strategy, but because you acted when the impossible demanded action." Daniel sighed. "Feels like the impossible keeps following me around." She smiled, faint but genuine, perhaps. Or perhaps it recognizes who can meet it. The next day, the council convened again. This time, there was a shift in tone. Instead of accusations, there were questions. Instead of fear, curiosity. Questions about human resilience, adaptability, and morality. Some members expressed hope, seeing the chance for a new alliance with Earth. Others remained cautious, still wary of the unpredictability humans represented. Althera addressed them all. "This union of human and Aurelian life is not a threat. It is a bridge. It is proof that compassion and action can achieve what centuries of caution could not." Daniel stepped beside her, unsure what to say, yet compelled by the gravity of the moment. "We didn't do it because it was smart," he said. "We did it because it was necessary. And maybe that's smarter than we realize." The council deliberated for hours. Finally, High Curator Salenth rose. "The court recognizes this bond, this act, and the human who made it possible. We will not interfere with it, nor will we attempt to exploit it." A ripple of relief swept through the room. Aelthyra turned to Daniel, her expression unreadable for a moment. Then she spoke softly. "You are safe." Daniel felt a weight lift from him he hadn't realized he'd carried. "Thanks," he said quietly. Salenth continued. "We also recognize that the future will be uncertain, but now it is alive, and that is something the court cannot deny." Later, in private quarters, Daniel and Althera sat together, the stars beyond the viewport stretching infinitely. The bond between them was more than survival. It was understanding, trust, and connection. The hum in Daniel's chest was no longer alarming. It was comforting, a reminder that together they had changed the course of history. "I never thought a human could matter this much," Althera said softly. "I'm not sure I did either," Daniel replied. "Guess I'm full of surprises." She tilted her head, her glowing eyes reflecting the starlight. "You are more than survival. You are proof." Daniel grinned faintly. "Proof of what?" "That humans, and perhaps all life, can rise to meet what seems impossible," she said. "Together." In the days that followed, humans and Aurelians began to work together more closely. Diplomatic talks accelerated. Defense strategies were reevaluated. Lessons were shared across species. And wherever Daniel went, the hum reminded him that change was not something to fear. It was something to embrace. The galaxy watched, and slowly it began to accept. Daniel and Althera often walked side by side across the decks of her ship. The stars stretched wide around them. Each knew that challenges would come again. Ancient threats, political factions, and unknown dangers waited in the shadows of space. Yet they also knew something else. Courage, compassion, and the willingness to act could rewrite the future in ways no one ever imagined. One evening, Daniel looked out at the stars and said quietly, "You know, I thought giving my blood was risky. But this is bigger than I expected." Aelthera's smile was gentle. It was never just blood. It was choice. And that choice echoes across the stars. Daniel nodded, the hum steady and strong. "Then let's make sure the echo is worth it." Together, they watched the galaxy, alive, uncertain, and full of possibility. A human and an alien princess had faced death, fear, and the unknown. They had survived, and in surviving, they had reminded the universe of something simple, yet powerful. The future belongs to those who dare to act, to those willing to give themselves for others, and to those who refuse to be bound by what others say is impossible. The galaxy would never forget, and neither would they. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and for the first time in countless cycles, both humanity and the Aurelian Empire looked forward, not backward, together. The impossible had been faced, the unthinkable had been survived, and one human soldier had become a symbol, not of power, not of conquest, but of courage, compassion, and the quiet strength that comes when one life chooses to matter. The hum faded slightly, but remained, a heartbeat linking them, a promise of what was possible. And so Daniel and Althera stood together, ready to face the galaxy not as enemies, not as strangers, but as partners in shaping the stars themselves.